What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way Season 5, The Tell All Part 3. So, let me just start off by saying this. TLC, do y'all even remember what this show, the premise of the show, what started this show? Do y'all even remember how this show was supposed to be about Americans who have significant others in another country, and they move to this other country and they try to make their relationship work, and they try to enjoy, take in, absorb the culture of this new country that they're going to be living in, them trying to adapt and them trying to acclimate to their new environments, new culture, new language, new foods, new way of living, and at the same time still trying to maintain a relationship and trying to get married and trying to figure out how to work out the immigration process, and are they going to be able to get a job over there. This is what this show was started on, but now we're at the point where we only concentrate on the toxicity of these relationships. It's like, forget about the fact that they're living in a whole nother country. Forget about the fact that they're trying to adapt to a new culture. Forget about them trying to acclimate to new surroundings, a new way of living. Forget about all of that. Forget about the whole immigration process. Are they going to be approved for visas or work permits or whatever in these other countries? Let's just focus on how dysfunctional everybody is. And every single person on this stage, including Kalani, Mary, Andre, and Tim, all of them are just as dysfunctional. And I don't understand. I'm still trying to figure out, after watching part 3 and the end of the season, I'm still trying to figure out why those 4 individuals were added on to this tell-all. They have nothing to give. They have nothing to offer anybody, because they're still trying to work out the kinks in their own lives. I would have preferred for them to have between 1 to 4. If you're going to have 4 additional people, it might as well be 4 experts, 4 real educated, licensed experts in different areas of whatever, psychology, relationships, mental health, or whatever, being on that stage with everybody else and giving advice that, needs to be given from experts, from people who have studied human behavior, who have studied human nature. Not these people who, okay, Kalani, why are you crying? Why are you backstage over there crying over Shekinah, of all people, or over Shekinah? Out of all the people that had brought you to tears, you're going to cry over Shekinah because you see that there's a lot of you in her, because you grew up Mormon, she grew up Amish, and so you see her as, not being able to break away from wanting to be controlled and wanting to be submissive and all this other stuff. This has nothing to do with you, Kalani. Absolutely nothing to do with you, and you're backstage crying. This is not even about you. You're supposed to be here to enlighten and to give advice or do whatever. I'm not exactly sure why they brought you here, but you're supposed to be there, I'm assuming, to give advice and to help out these people, and you're up booing backstage. I'm on one, y'all. I am on one, because this show has made me so upset that I had to sit through another segment of Danielle. Nothing gives me heartburn more than Danielle, but I'm gonna get to that later. Let's get into it. So the episode starts off with Holly. The last episode, the last episode, Holly had walked off stage because Wayne was not showing like he was really interested in moving forward with their marriage. He was acting a little bit distant. He wasn't saying all the lovey-dovey things that she wants him to say to make her feel like, he really still wants to be in this relationship with her. So she got so frustrated and upset, she walks off stage. Candy goes back there to check on her. Okay, fine. That's really sweet of him. So during the break, Tim said that Wayne probably did all of the supporting that he could possibly do for Holly, and he's on empty now. His emotional support tank is on empty because Holly wants so much. Holly acts like she has been just extremely spoiled her whole entire life. She doesn't know how to adult. She's used to being just, I don't know, spoiled and coddled and given her own way all the time, that she doesn't know how to be like a full grown, real adult woman. And I'm thinking that is what Wayne is looking for. Maybe there are some men out there who want a woman that they can kind of treat as a pet. Wayne doesn't want that. Wayne wants a woman that is just as much as grown and just as much as an adult as he is, not someone who wants to be babied all the time. And because as soon as she FaceTimed him when they were backstage, as soon as she FaceTimed him, what does she start doing? She starts crying. And I'm pretty sure Wayne has seen her cry so many damn times that he has become completely insensitive to it all. He doesn't even care anymore that she's crying. He never thought that she would ever come back. He tells her that. He's like, well, I never thought that you would not come back. He always assumed that she was going to go to America, take care of her mom, and depending on how that went, she was going to come right back. But I guess the mother got better, and Wayne is still trying to figure out, when is my wife coming home? And it got to the point where he probably just gave up on her coming back at all. And if her mother was still sick, and this was the reason why she was still staying in America and had not returned to South Africa yet, I'm thinking Holly would have said that. She says she wants to come back. So she tells him that she does want to come back to South Africa. He said that they have a lot of work to do on their relationship. And I'm like, girl, if you go back to South Africa and if they bring your face on my television ever again and you're back in South Africa, I don't want you to ever complain about another blackout, another home invasion, another anything, because you're making the third decision now to go back to South Africa. So should be no more complaints, because now, girl, you know exactly what it is. You know exactly what it is. And I don't want to hear any more complaints about South Africa. So, like I said, another woman would have been like, oh, this is wonderful. I'm living in South Africa. Let me try to see, the positive side of this. Some people are like, I don't care if I'm stranded in the desert with my significant other. As long as I'm with them, I'm cool. As long as we're together, we can live anywhere. We can make it happen. We can make it work anywhere. But she let the surroundings get the best of their relationship. He said that they have a lot of work to do. And so they come back on stage, and Holly said that they're going to work on their relationship. And Wayne finally admits to everybody that yes, he was using his phone not working as an excuse to not call her, because he said he was trying to distance himself from this woman. And so, everybody saw right through that. This is the age of technology. If your super flashy, expensive phone doesn't work, you can just go to the corner store and get you a burner phone, or whatever they call those little, little phones that you can buy at the grocery store or at the gas station. There should never have been an excuse for you to not talk to. You just come out and say it, Wayne. I didn't want to talk to her because I didn't want to talk to her. My phone was working fine. I have the best of the best, but I just didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want to hear her voice. I didn't want to hear her whining. I didn't want to see her crying. I was over it. So they move on to Sarper and Shekinah. So they bring out Dan. Why? Why are we talking to Dan? TLC, y'all are so messy. TLC is so invested in toxic relationships that they bring out just some random people from people's past that's got nothing to do with anything. So they bring out Dan, who was somebody that Shekinah probably went out on a couple of dates with. Now Dan is proclaiming his love to Shekinah, and y'all went out on probably 2 or 3 dates. It's not like they were in this intense relationship for 5 or 6 years and Shekinah broke his heart and he wants her back. They went out on a couple of dates, had a couple of drinks, and now he's on this show talking about how he wants to be with Shekinah and he's better than Sarper, and Shekinah should be like, what? What is going on? No, we don't want to hear from Dan. Dan has nothing to add to anything. Y'all brought him back on the show because y'all thought this was going to piss off Sarper and that Sarper was going to go berserk, and y'all are going to get some really good TV. That's why y'all brought Dan out. So Dan says Sarper is too controlling, and Sarper says, I know her better than you do. Yes, I think I even know Shekinah better than Dan does. Dan doesn't know Shekinah at all. So Shekinah says, she likes to serve her man. Sarper said, I like being served. And Shekinah said, I like serving him. This is something that a lot of us really don't. Maybe a lot of us do understand. I don't really understand. I don't really get it. But hey, this is their relationship. This is their dynamic. This is how they're working. And I'm not going to be wasting my tears over Shekinah and Sarper like the way Kalani did. to talk about Sarper's 2,500 women. And so everybody on stage is trying to do the calculations, like, how is this even possible that you could be with 2,500 women? So they're trying to figure it out using new math. And Julio was like, I think he probably would have been sleeping with a woman every 3 to 5. I don't know what he said. They tried to all figure it out. But Sarper was like, let me just make it a little bit easier for y'all, because, you know, y'all are like busting brain vessels trying to figure out how I've been with 2,500 women. So then he brings out his book. From 1998 until 2012, he was recording his body count. So he proudly shows off this book, and every X represented a woman. And I don't know if each page was a month or a year, but it all added up. That book alone had like 1,900, and then there was more after that. I don't know why he wasn't keeping track of the ones after that, up until he met Shekinah. Those people were so pissed and shocked about this damn book. I was like, because, you know, when they do the little teaser before they go to commercial, and they, you know, they'll end the segment with Sarper saying, Shekinah, I have something to confess to you. And then they show us the clip of the people reacting to whatever he confessed. Everybody on stage was like, what? Oh my God. So then when they came back from commercial and they showed us what everybody was so shocked about, it was just his little book, his little notebook of how many people. I was like, this is what y'all were reacting to? Y'all, to me, it was not a big deal. I'm just cut from a different cloth. That did not shock me or surprise me or make me feel any kind of way. Shekinah said that Sarper is a numbers guy. And I kind of get it. There's some people that just like keeping track of everything, or they like collecting stuff for whatever reason. They like to record every little thing. I'm kind of like that in some ways, not with no body counts, but just with other things. I like to kind of just keep track of everything. I like to have like a spreadsheet or a list of stuff that I think is important to me. So when he brought out his little book, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. It was absolutely no big deal to me. So everybody else was falling out of their seat because, you know, Sarper is keeping count of all the women that he's been with. How do you think he came up with that number? And who was it? Somebody asked him, I think it was Holly. Holly asked him, why did you even bring that out? And Sarper was like, because y'all were asking me, how did I come up with that number? Because even Tim, they panned to him before he brought out the book, and they were talking about the fact that he's been with so many women and how did he do it. Tim was calling BS on that. Tim did not believe that Sarper could have been with that many women, because like, how do you keep track? How do you know it's been that many? Well, he showed us, but then y'all are so shocked to see it. I didn't get it. So then they asked him, what do the colors indicate? Because I guess he was using different color ink for each X. And he said that the color was determining, or it told him how pretty the girl was. So Shekinah tells them to get rid of the book, to get rid of the bottles, because he collects wine bottles or liquor bottles that remind him of whoever he was with, or it's like a memento of a relationship or whatever. So she tells him, get rid of the book, get rid of the bottles. And he says, oh, we'll talk about it when you come back, baby. We'll talk about it. And she's like, I'm not coming back. I don't want to talk to you until you get rid of all of that. So even with all of that, Shekinah's still not going to leave him. So why is everybody getting worked up about Sarper and Shekinah? Shekinah's not going to leave Sarper until she's getting ready to leave him. And she's not going to leave him because y'all tell her to leave him. And she's not going to leave him because y'all are telling her that she's in a toxic relationship, that she's in a controlling relationship. Shekinah don't give a damn about what nobody has to say about her and Sarper. She is living her best life right now with this man. So I don't understand why everybody's so worked up about Shekinah. So they talk about babies, and Shekinah still says, no, I don't want to have any more children. Sarper is like, whatever she wants is fine with me, but they do plan on adopting goats. Moving on to Brandon and Mary. Okay. Brandon and Mary, to me, they're the ones that affect me the most. They're the ones that I'm bothered with the most because they are so young and they're having some grown up issues. They are so young, so young. Not only are they young in age, but they look so young as well. You forget that they're like, you know, as old as they are. they're having some serious grown-up issues that I don't think either one of them is prepared for. And I don't care how many babies they have, and I don't care how many social media posts that they put up of them being so happy and so in love together. This is a couple that is headed for a disaster. And this is out of all of the relationships, this is probably the most toxic. Number one, because they're so young. Number two, because there's a baby involved. And then there's the rumor mill saying that she could possibly be pregnant again. So because we have babies involved and they themselves are barely babies, I think this is probably the most toxic relationship of all. So Mary had a difficult delivery. She talks about how the baby was had the cord wrapped around its neck 3 times. And so she had a really difficult delivery, but thankfully the baby arrived healthy, and they named the child Midnight. I had to rewind that when they said that name. They named their child Midnight. Now, I'm cool with people giving their children all kinds of crazy hippie names. I understand that's the trend, and it's been the trend for a while, giving your children these very unusual names, but Midnight, that takes the cake. Why not Sunshine? Or rain, or summer? Why Midnight? Okay. They talk about what the baby or who the baby looks like. And Mary goes on and on about how the baby looks just like Brandon. And then they showed a picture of the baby. Y'all, to me, the baby looked like Mary. The baby looked like Mary to me. It didn't look like Brandon at all. They talk about Brandon's gaming. He is still gaming. He tried to tone it down and act like he wasn't gaming that much, but I think he's still gaming just as much, if not more, to escape, the responsibilities of life or the realities of life. He's probably gaming even more now than he did before they had the baby. Mary said that she's scared to ask him for help with the baby whenever he's gaming because she thinks that he's going to get mad at her. Now, people really reacted to her saying that because it made it sound really sad. This is his child as well, and you can't be the only caretaker when you have your partner right there living in the same house with you, and you should never be afraid to ask your husband to help you take care of his child. So if what Mary is saying is even true, that's really pathetic, and this is what I'm talking about right here. And I don't think stuff like that gets easier, and I don't think that Brandon's going to do a lot of changing because it's not going to get easier. Life is just going to get harder. So I don't know if there's not like a professional to come in and intervene, and they don't want nothing to do with that. But if there isn't a professional to come in and intervene, I think they're headed for disaster. So Brandon admits that he'll call her a scammer and he'll call her a bitch whenever he's mad at her. And that's crazy. That's crazy. That is absolute. Look, y'all, I've been married almost 20 years. I've known my husband longer than that. So altogether, we've known each other probably 20, 25 years altogether. In the heat of in the worst arguments ever, we don't do the name calling. My husband has never, ever in life called me the B word or an a-hole or an MFer. I don't do that to him. He doesn't do that to me, because I think that you can use words to express how you feel without demeaning and calling your partner names. Now, if you want to call the dude down the street names, or you want to call somebody at the bar who bumped into you a name, that's something else. But the person that you are living with, that you are partnering with, the person who you married, the person who you're having children with, I think when it gets to that point, it's because he's so young. They don't know any better. And they come from such horrible backgrounds. They just don't know any better. And they don't have any guidance. Mary's grandparents, I don't know how involved they are or how helpful they can possibly be in this relationship. His mother, who to me, for the most part, talks a lot of sense, she's too far away. And it's just them trying to figure this out. You know what I'm saying? The grandfather's probably busy working. The grandmother is too sick to do much of anything. And now it's just hopeless. It's kind of hopeless. It's just kind of hopeless because they just don't know any better. He doesn't know that that's just something that you just don't do. You don't cross that line and call the mother of your child, your wife, someone who you traveled across the world to live with and to start a new life with. Now you're calling her a bitch and you're calling her a scammer. It doesn't make any sense. So why are you with her? If that's what she is to you, then why are you with her? So of course, he's going to say, well, he says he doesn't really mean it. And how come they didn't show this during the season, because they showed a lot of Mary acting out of pocket, but they didn't show Brandon acting out of pocket. That's why even Shekinah was like, I'm so surprised to know that this is how Brandon is like, because I was surprised as well, because they didn't show that. They showed one scene of him getting mad at her because he was I don't know what he was doing. He was on the TV and she wanted him to put the volume down or to stop watching whatever he was watching, and he did get mad at her, but it wasn't like calling her out of her name, and they weren't arguing that bad. So why didn't TLC show more of Brandon acting crazy? Or maybe he just knows how to act in front of a camera and Mary don't. So when the camera was there, Brandon was on his best behavior because he knows how it works, and Mary was just her emotions just took the best of her. She took over. She couldn't control herself, and so that's why we saw the worst of Mary but the best of Brandon. So Brandon says that when he calls her these names, he doesn't mean it. He says that he calls her these names because he wants her to react so that she can stand up for herself more, so that she can stop being so submissive. This is what I'm talking about. When you don't have a vast vocabulary and you don't know how to use words, or you don't know how to communicate effectively, you do things and you think of these really weird and off the wall things to justify some really bad behavior. So him saying, well, I'm only doing this because I want her to be less submissive and I want her to react to me and get mad at me and I want her to argue with me. Really, Brandon? No. Let me go to the Philippines. I'm not even a licensed anything. Let me go to the Philippines and take some time and teach y'all a couple of things. That's not how you do it. No, sir. You don't do that. When you get mad, you need to calm down. First of all, you need to take control of your emotions and calm down. And then you need to communicate effectively exactly what's making you mad. And then you need to listen to the other party. And then both of you need to come up with a solution. It's not to degrade and demean your wife because you want her to react and you want her to be less submissive and you want her to fight back with you. So if she does do that, if you want her to be more assertive with you, and her idea of being assertive is to argue back, then y'all are just going to be arguing and screaming and yelling at each other until the sun comes up and y'all have a baby. Brandon probably has issues. Okay, this is another thing that kind of blows my mind. What's her name? Angela, Brandon's mother, Angela. She has a lot to say, right? Because she came out a little bit later. She has a lot to say. Even when she was in the Philippines with him, she had a lot to say about what they should and shouldn't be doing. And she herself probably has gone through counseling to battle her addiction. But it's like, Angela, I agree with you, girl. You're making a lot of good points. And it's wonderful how you're seeing the good and the bad in both of them. And you want the best for both of them. But Angela, my little sugar plum, Brandon is like this because it has a lot to do with his relationship with you. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that his mother abandoned him and his sibling to go and do drugs. And this is the reason why he's having a hard time being in this relationship. He's having a hard time being in a successful relationship with Mary because he's having issues with his mother. You know, how his mother raised him, the relationship that he has with his mother probably has a lot of effect on his relationship with Mary. So did they get counseling? So it seems like they never got the counseling because that's something that I was wondering, but this was before Angela came out. I wrote it down here. Did they ever get the counseling that his mother had advised them to do before she left the Philippines? It looks like they didn't. So then Angela comes out and the question was, what would make Brandon so mad that he would call her out of her name? And Angela says, as long as Brandon was giving her money, Mary was good. When the money ran out, that's when she would get upset. And I guess when she got upset, he got upset. So this is the reason why he calls her a scammer. He would call her a scammer because it seems like she was only happy, or they were only getting along as long as Brandon had money. So Angela said that sometimes Brandon would come to her and ask her for money because he would tell his mom, oh, Mary's getting upset because we're running out of money. So she would send him money. And so then somebody asked Angela, is this what you're going to be doing like forever and ever, just constantly giving him money so that he can keep his wife happy? And Angela says, that's my son. I'm going to give him whatever he wants. Okay, girl. So you are perpetuating this bad behavior in both of them. So now they're doing fine because somebody asked, I think it was Sean. Sean asked the question. So having a baby is expensive. Y'all were broke before, and so how are you able to afford taking care of a child? And Brandon said that they are doing fine now financially, and then Mary said that her little shop, her little shop. They open up the little shop again, her little snack shop. So they're making money from there. I'm only assuming that money from that snack shop is sustaining them because it doesn't take a lot to live in the Philippines. And so selling chips and candy is enough to sustain them. But I'm kind of like questioning, well, how is that? How are y'all making enough money to take care of a child and yourselves and the household? Because the grandparents live there as well. Nobody talked about Lolo, whether or not Lolo was still working, because the last we heard, Lolo was still working. He missed out on a lot of stuff because Lolo was at work. He was doing, first shift, second shift, third shift, because they were not making any money. So nobody asked the question, is Lolo still working? Do y'all still have, your elderly grandpa still working and supporting y'all? So then, Brandon says that he hasn't asked his mom for money in 3 weeks. He's like, we're doing fine. We're taking care of ourselves. I haven't asked my mom for any money in 3 weeks. So, Angela says that it takes a lot to push Brandon to his limit. Okay, this is her trying to defend her son and protect her son. She goes, oh, it takes a lot. It takes a lot for Brandon to get to that point where he's, cussing her out. I don't think it takes that much. Or maybe Mary is just really good at pushing his buttons. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, girl, whatever. So Sean asked the question, what could Mary possibly do to get Brandon to the point where he's calling her names? And I'm like, Sean, did you not watch the show? Did you not see how controlling she was to him? How extremely irrationally, unreasonably controlling Mary was to Brandon. And they came to a point where he reached his breaking point with her. Like, what are you talking about? What could Mary have possibly done? So Mary talks about the incident where she was too scared to tell Brandon to put down the volume. And so she messaged Angela, and she was like, I'm too scared to tell him to put down the volume. So then Angela messages her son, and she's like, what is going on? She's texting me about how she can't tell you to put down the volume. And so Brandon told his mom that not only did he put down the volume, he turned the TV off and he stepped outside to go listen to music. And he said he wasn't mad. He doesn't understand why she would say that. And so then Mary, on the tell-all, started crying because she was like, his mother doesn't understand what I go through. She's only going to defend her son, and she's only going to believe whatever her son says. And I believe Mary that it did not go like that. I don't think it went like that because the girl was still crying about it at the tell-all. And I don't know how long ago this incident happened, and she's still crying about it today. So I think that she told him to put the volume down, or she went to his mother. The mother, I think there was some type of an altercation. I think he got upset that once again she's telling him to get off the games or put down the volume or turn off the TV. And I think that he did slam down the controller for the video game because she said he slammed it down and he walked out. I don't think he was like, oh, let me just do you one better, Mary. Let me just turn the TV off all the way instead of just putting the volume down because I want my baby to have peace. No, I don't think it was like that. I think he slammed that controller down. He shut off the TV real angry and he stomped outside. I think that's how it went down. So he said he wasn't mad at all. Okay, sure, Brandon. So Angela begs them to seek therapy. She's like, I implore you two people to please go get therapy. And I can understand her begging that much because there's a baby involved. Mary said that she doesn't want to go seek therapy because, she's going to be judged. People are going to think that she's crazy. Mary has this big, paranoia of people seeing her as being crazy or, off the wall or whatever. And it's only because of the behavior that she exhibited. we don't think that there's something kind of off with you, Mary, because you went to go seek therapy. We think there's something kind of off with you because of the way that you're acting. And seeking therapy will be the sanest thing that you do. But I understand we're looking at it from our American eyes. In her country, in the Philippines, it's not, people are going to think that she's crazy. She's going to be ostracized and criticized and judged, etc. And I get it because, a lot of the world, that's how they see therapy. And America is still kind of sort of like that. Let's not act like, we have just really mastered this whole notion of how healthy and wonderful it is to get therapy. So I kind of get it. I thought that maybe she could probably do some online therapy and speak with an American counselor, but I realized that should have to speak to someone who's not licensed, because if you're not licensed to practice in certain areas, you can't help anybody outside the country. But maybe she can speak to one of these Instagram therapists, these little Instagram life coaches. Maybe they can enlighten her and help her out and help her through some things and not worry about whether or not they can practice in the Philippines or give advice to somebody in the Philippines. Okay, so Mary said that blah, blah, blah. She can... So then Tim asked, whose idea was it to have a baby? And Angela, Brandon's mom, was like, I think it was Mary. And I believe it. I so believe it. I think that Mary wanted to have a baby with Brandon because she got pregnant real quick. And, they were trying to have this baby. And I think it was because I think Mary and her mom probably thought, because she was like so insecure and so worried about him leaving her. I think she probably thought, we're going to have a baby and he's going to be mine forever. And they're too young to understand a baby doesn't solve any problems. It just makes it worse. It exasperates the problem. It does not solve anything. So Julio, I don't know why I keep calling that man Julian. Julio, he made a really good point when he said that they kind of just rushed into it. As soon as he arrived in the Philippines, she got pregnant, then they got married, and it's like a lot was going on. Then they gotta try to find a way to make money. It was just too much happening too fast, and everything was just rushed. And he said that they didn't take the time to really allow the relationship to grow and to really nurture the relationship. So then they showed the toxic text of, Mary sending to Brandon when he was on his way to the Philippines, when he was on the plane, and she kept on saying to him, who are you sitting next to? Of course you'd be sitting next to a girl. Don't come here. I don't want you to come here. Blah, 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 blah. So Brandon says that ever since then, things have gotten better. I think these two people know that the odds are stacked against them. They know enough to know that the odds are stacked against them and that people are waiting for them to fail, and people are waiting for them to completely, just break up. And so I think that it's really important to them to prove to the world that they're the exception to the rule of a young couple who rushed into marriage and having a baby. They really want to prove to the world that they're fine, that they're going to make it, that they're doing great. I don't think that they're too much interested in solving any of their underlying issues or any of whatever issues, whatever trauma that they suffered. I don't think they're interested in any of that, because I think that both of them, not just Mary, I think that both of them think that people are going to see them as failures if they try to get professional help. And I think they're just so concerned with how they appear to other people, and they really want to put up this front that they're just fine and nothing's wrong, because Brandon said that ever since he arrived in the Philippines, things have gotten better between them. So Angela says that, those text messages from Mary to Brandon, it made her mad. It made her extremely mad as Brandon's mother. And she says that Brandon's sister hates Mary and refers to her as a bitch. And she's got no time for Mary and does not understand why her brother is with someone like that. Tim says that he has never seen anybody as controlling as Mary. He said that she's the most controlling female that he has ever seen. Mary says that it comes from her insecurity. Okay, that's something else. It has a lot to do with her just being young and dumb. She doesn't have any self-value, any self-worth. That's why she's so much on pins and needles about this man leaving her. She can't see herself without him. And it's like, girl, you need to, I don't want to get on this whole spiel about loving yourself and, consider, I'm not going to get into all of that, but this just comes from her being immature. Just doesn't know enough to know that she is valuable, that she's worthy, that she needs to love herself before anybody. Y'all know how it goes. I don't have to spell it out. She doesn't know it. She doesn't know anything about that. All she knows about is having enough confidence to shake her butt on Instagram. So Tim says that she's the most controlling person he's ever seen. Mary says she's very insecure. Angela says that Mary has shown a lot of growth and that she knows how to really take care of Brandon. And I know people think that, oh, that is so warm and fuzzy. That is so awesome that she's... What about him taking care of her? What about them taking care of each other? Like, what's really going on here? So when Angela was like, oh, she knows how to take care of my son. And my son, he's not used to that. She just knows. She does. So he likes to be pampered, and he'll take that along with her being controlling. That's the price that he pays, to be pampered and to be taken care of and to be loved. Well, the admission ticket to that is, well, you're also going to be controlled. You can't look left. You can't look right. You have to keep your eyeballs on Mary at all times. You can't even think about another female. You can't talk to your mom. But Angela said that ever since, they've been living in the Philippines, that he's been allowed to talk to her. Do y'all see how crazy that sounds? That he is allowed now to talk to his mother outside the presence of Mary. They talk about social media. Brandon, he's not too much on social media. Mary, she's very active on social media. She's up there shaking her butt. In her little Daisy Dukes, her little too short short. She's up there just, throwing it down. She is twerking for her life. Okay, that girl was twerking for her life in those videos. Shekinah calls Mary out for being very provocative online. It's like, you don't let him look at other women or talk to other women at all in any kind of capacity, but you're up here making yourself, you're putting yourself on display to be lusted over, because that's the only reason why you would do it, because you want the men and the women, I guess, to look at you and to lust after you and to give you a whole bunch of likes and to say all of these, disgusting things in the comments. That's basically what you're seeking, because you're not showing off how successful your business is. You're not showing off your college degrees, your master's degree, how you got accepted into this school or that school. You're showing yourself twerking with your butt cheeks hanging from the bottom of your shorts. And you want validation. This is how you get your validation. I think it's really, really sad. Coming from a girl like Mary. She wants to be like these other Instagram type of influencers, who are out there showing everything. I don't know. I think coming from Mary, it's crazy, because she doesn't want him looking at other women, but she wants to put herself on display for other men. And Brandon says he's fine with it. So Shekinah says that Mary does it to get a reaction out of Brandon, and that to her that would equate to love. So Shekinah is saying that Mary is doing this because she wants Brandon to get upset and say, don't do that, don't post those kind of videos, because if he does that, if he shows himself controlling her, that's what Mary would think is love. I don't know. Like I said, these people have no place to give advice to any other couple, because they're all dysfunctional, including the 4 people that they brought in, as I said in the beginning of the video. Everybody on that stage, except for Sean, is completely 100% dysfunctional. So I'm just taking it, whatever they're telling each other, I'm taking it for a grain of salt. So Brandon says she's doing it out of confidence. He says, oh, she's twerking like that on social media because she's so confident now, because she's with an American man, and she knows that, our standards are not as strict as Filipino men maybe. So, we allow our women to do whatever. And so now she can really be herself, because she's with a man that is not so restrictive and not so controlling of what she does with her body. So she's doing this out of confidence. Sarper says that Mary is very manipulative. Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. And Andre calls Sarper out for being manipulative and controlling. So then Andre and Sarper and Shekinah, they kind of got into this little battle. I had no time for it, because Andre, go sit down. How dare you stand up and try to confront this woman? How dare you do that? Like, who do you think? This is not Libby. Okay, I don't know who you thought this was in the pink dress. That's not your wife, Libby. So go sit down somewhere. Because Andre used to make me really upset when I used to watch him and Libby. The way he would talk to Libby and yell at her and be so short with her and so impatient with her, it used to get my blood boiling. So I don't have any time for Andre trying to confront anybody on that damn stage. Moving on. So during the break, Andre confronts, this is when he confronts her, and I was like, I didn't have time for that. What else are we going to talk about? So when They go backstage. Everyone harps on Shekinah. Everyone gets on Shekinah's case about, her being with somebody who's so blah, 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 this, and that. You're in a toxic relationship, and how dare you give advice to... Everybody was harping on Shekinah, which to me makes no sense because all y'all have problems. And this is where Kalani started crying. And she was saying, I see so much of myself in you. Because like I said before in the beginning, she was raised Mormon. Shekinah was raised Amish. And she's like, I'm not telling you this because blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you this because I'm really worried about you. Says the woman who cheated on her husband, who also cheated on her. So she compares her relationship to Shekinah's relationship. Kalani, your relationship with Asuelu is a little bit different. Asuelu had no time for you. Okay, many times Asuelu acted like he didn't even like you. Shekinah is being controlled by Sarper, and she knows that she's being controlled by Sarper, and Sarper is too involved with Shekinah. He wants too much of Shekinah, whereas Asuelu didn't want anything to do with you for the longest time until you slept with another man. Then all of a sudden, he gained a little bit of interest in you. So I don't think it's the same thing. Moving on to Danielle and Johan. So Danielle evidently contacted Memory and told her to come on the show so they can both take down Johan, and it was very uneventful and it was very underwhelming. So Memory comes out, who is this woman that Johan had slid into her DMs, and they were having some very dry communications about her coming to the DR, and Johan telling her, I want you to come to the DR by yourself, don't bring your friends, I want to see you, etc., etc. And I'm thinking, I was waiting for it to get good. I was waiting for it to get really good, but it was so dry. Oh my God. And so I was like, this is the best that y'all could do. So whatever. He says he don't remember her. Johan says, I don't even remember who she is. And so then, what's her name? Danielle was like, oh, you don't remember her because you've been with so many women. You've been with 1 million women. That's why you don't remember her. Damn right. Exactly, Danielle. Yeah, that's why he doesn't remember her, because he's DMing and communicating with a whole bunch of y'all. A whole bunch of y'all. Yes, the gullible, the easily fooled, the easily to be manipulated, the ones who have a whole lot of money to spend on a man they barely know. Oh, y'all. Yes, ma'am. So Johan wanted her to, he was like, well, show me the messages. And so they showed the dry messages, and it was just crickets. So in the messages, he did tell Memory that he was going through a divorce, or him and his wife were separated. So it wasn't like, when Johan and Danielle were in the best of their relationship, which is, I'm trying to figure out, when were they actually really cool with each other? I can't even remember. Probably on the day that they got married. And it went downhill real fast after that, because let's not forget that Johan and Danielle have only been married, if they're still married now, they would have only been married 2 years. 2 years. And look at all this stuff that they've gone through in 2 years. So Danielle said at the time they were fighting, but not, they were still fighting, but they were not separated. So y'all were unhappy with each other, and he was trying to seek happiness and attention from somewhere else. You were trying to seek happiness and attention from your ex. I understand that when she wanted to see her ex, it wasn't because she wanted to fool around with him. But if your husband is telling you, don't do this because it makes me feel some kind of way, why was it so important for you to do that? And I don't want to rehash old news, but y'all, let's not forget the history of Danielle and Johan. Number one, she lied to him about taking him to America, helping him with his papers, and helping him become an American citizen. So she lied about that. Number two, as soon as they got married, she wanted to go out and have fun and spend time with her ex. And Johan told her, if you go out with that man, you're going to see the worst of me. It's going to be a whole different Johan if you decide to go out with that man. And that's exactly what she did. She went out with that man. She called his bluff, and he showed her exactly what he told her he was going to show her, that she was not going to be happy. It wasn't going to be pretty. And that's exactly what he did. I don't know why she's acting so shocked and surprised. So Danielle said at the time, okay, so, by the way, Memory is one of the women that Danielle had added as a friend because she was putting in a lot of work in seeking out all the women that Johan was communicating with and adding them as her friend, because she probably thought that she was going to bring like 10 women to the tell-all to expose Johan, but she only brought memory and some dry emails. Danielle then tells us that Johan was having relations with some of her own clients. So she talks about how she had a retreat and Johan was with her. She probably dragged him at the damn retreat so she can keep an eye on him. And so it didn't make any difference. So she brings him to this retreat and she says that he was using his position in her business. What position? Like what? What? He was using so he was working for you? Okay, fine. So she says he was using his position in her yoga business to communicate with other women and have relations with other women, her clients, not just other women, but her clients specifically. So she talks about how she was having a retreat and Johan had contacted, he was trying to communicate with one of her clients, and she realized that something was wrong because on one of the nights that he was supposed to come straight back into her tent after his English classes, that's a lie. That's a lie, Danielle, talking about Johan went to he was taking some English class. Girl, stop. Johan barely knows hello and how are you in English, but he was taking English classes. Okay, girl. So after leaving his English class, he was supposed to come back to her tent, but he didn't. So that's when she began to suspect things. So evidently she started talking to the woman that he supposedly, girl, whatever. So he was messing around with one of her clients. I have no sympathy. Zero sympathy for Danielle and what she went through with Johan. They didn't know. I don't even want to get into it. They didn't know each other long enough. He lied. She lied. He wanted to see other people. She was hell-bent on seeing her. It was their whole entire marriage was a mess. And they were only married for 2 years. So Johan told her that, okay, so anyways, we talked about that. So they asked Johan several times, did you cheat? Did you cheat? Did you cheat? Did you cheat? And he kept on saying, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Then Sean asked everybody on stage, who in here believes that Johan cheated? Everybody raised their hand, except for Shekinah, of course, with her internalized misogyny. So I don't care if Johan cheated or not. I really don't care. These people were together for a hot New York minute. And I'm supposed to feel like so sympathetic and so crushed over Danielle and her husband cheating on her. I don't know if this man cheated on her or not. I really don't know. I really don't really care, because this relationship was dysfunctional from day one. These people had no business getting married. I am not going to go on vacation, meet a man, know him for about a minute and a half, decide that I'm going to marry him, and expect him to be husband of the damn year when he's working in an industry where he's constantly coming in contact with other women who are always wanting to get with him and give him money and pay him to sleep with them or do whatever. I'm not going to make that kind of decision. So the fact that Danielle, as old as she is, and she's about my damn age, as old as she is, for her to go out there and think that she was going to turn into a housewife, a house husband or a husband or whatever the hell, girl, stop. I can sympathize with women who have really been victimized by their husbands. Okay. I can do that. If you put in a lot of work and you put in a lot of dedication and loyalty and honesty into your marriage, into your husband, and y'all been married for at least 3 years. Yes, I can feel sympathy for that. But you are barely married 2 years. You just poo-pooed all over this man's feelings. You didn't care about how he felt about you going out with your ex. You didn't care about that. And then the funny thing is that Johan told her. He straight up told her, I want a house and I want a car. Like, what are you doing here if you can't give me that? And she still stayed. Not only that, on top of everything else, she is still spending time with his family, going out to eat or going to dinner at his family's house. If this man is so horrible to you, if he's so horrible to you, why are you spending any time with his family? Like I said before, why are you putting this much energy into trying to expose them for cheating on? And Johan don't even care, because Johan knows, girl, you ain't the first. You're sure it's only going to be the last. And thank you for the free advertisement about my third leg. Thank you for telling people how good I am in bed. Thank you so much for the free advertisement, because you're just going to help increase my body count. It's going to come to a point now where Johan is going to surpass Sarper. Thank you, Danielle. You did that. Kimberly says she's not going back to India. She's over. She's over India. She's over her in-laws. She's over that damn apartment above the main house. She's over them with the cow manure. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna spend time with my family. Okay, Holly number 2. She ain't going back to India. Y'all, I've kept y'all way too long. I'm so sorry. But I had a lot to say about this one. And I was going to go through all of my notes instead of just summarizing it. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video, like this content, subscribe to my channel. And I most definitely will talk to you later. Bye.